Hello everybody, my name is Franklin Garcia and I am excited to be doing this live broadcasting here. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe, hit the button subscribe so that we can keep you informed of all the latest live streaming that I'm doing. Today's live streaming is a little special and different. Some of you know that I produce a show called DC Statehood Today where I talk about our fight for DC Statehood. And while COVID-19 has slowed down a lot of our economy and some other things, the fight for DC statehood continues strong. And we're hoping, in fact, that this year, H.R. 51, our current U.S. House of Representatives bill, will see the House floor sometime before the congressional year is over. But what I wanted to do today is we had a show that was taped back in September. And this particular segment was not able to be broadcast live on DC TV. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to share this show with you. This particular show features two young individuals, Taylor Berlin, Commissioner Taylor Berlin, who happens to be the youngest commissioner out of Ward 3 in the history of our city, the youngest commissioner. And another one was Ty Houston Power, who is with the 451 campaign. And so I wanted to share with you the segment. This particular segment, it's only about 20 minutes long. Normally the show features 3 guests, and it's about 30 minutes long. This particular segment that was taped back in September of last year, it's only about 20 minutes long. And I think you'll appreciate its content. So let me play it for you.
Hello, and thank you for watching DC Statehood Today, the show that keeps you informed on the latest DC Statehood news. I'm your host, Sheila Ramirez. You can watch us online at dctv.org or dc51.us. You can also follow us on Twitter at DC51 Today. The latest count of H.R. 51, the Washington, D.C. Admission Act in the U.S. House of Representatives, is 218 co-sponsors, and S-631 in the U.S. Senate has 33 co-sponsors. We continue to see a record number of support for DC statehood in the U.S. Congress. In June, H.R. 51 received support from House leadership as House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland became the bill's 205th co-sponsor. Steny Hoyer has stated that he has co-sponsored the D.C. Admission Act in the U.S. House of Representatives has 218 co-sponsors, and S-631 in the U.S. Senate has 33 co-sponsors. We continue to see a record number of support for D.C. statehood in the U.S. Congress. In June, H.R. 51 received support from House leadership as House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland became the bill's 205th co-sponsor. Steny Hoyer has stated that he has co-sponsored the D.C. Admission Act in the U.S. House of Representatives has 218 co-sponsors, and S-631 in the U.S. Senate has 33 co-sponsors. We continue to see a record number of support for D.C. statehood in the U.S. Congress. In June, H.R. 51 received support from House leadership as House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland became the bill's 205th co-sponsor. Steny Hoyer has stated that he has co-sponsored the D.C. Admission Act in the U.S. House of Representatives has 218 co-sponsors, and S-631 in the U.S. Senate has 33 co-sponsors. We continue to see a record number of support for D.C. statehood in the U.S. Congress. In June, H.R. 51 received support from House leadership as House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland became the bill's 205th co-sponsor. Steny Hoyer has stated that he has co-sponsored the D.C. Admission Act in the U.S. House of Representatives has 218 co-sponsors, and S-631 in the U.S. Senate has 33 co-sponsors. We continue to see a record number of support for D.C. statehood in the U.S. Congress. Mr. Walton has been traveling. In June, H.R. 51 received support from House leadership as House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland became the bill's 205th co-sponsor. H.R. 51, June 2nd, 2019, U.S. Senator Paul Strauss of the D.C. statehood congressional delegation helped secure arrangements with United Airlines that allowed Mr. Walton to travel for free to the 75th anniversary delegation helped secure arrangements with United Airlines that allowed Mr. Walton to travel for free to the 75th anniversary delegation helped secure arrangements with United Airlines that allowed Mr. Walton to travel for free to the 75th anniversary delegation helped secure arrangements with United Airlines that allowed Mr. Walton to travel for free to the 75th anniversary delegation. Detailed proposal for DC statehood of any presidential candidate right now on his campaign website as part of his Douglas Plan, a comprehensive investment in the empowerment of Black America. DC Statehood Weekend will be September 13th to the 15th and is organized by attorney Johnny Airlines that allowed Mr. Walton to travel for free to the 75th anniversary delegation. There will be DC Statehood, any presidential candidate right now on his campaign website as part of his Douglas Plan, a comprehensive investment in the empowerment of Black America. There will be discussions. DC Statehood Weekend will be September 13th to the 15th and is organized by attorney Johnny Airlines that allowed Mr. Walton to travel for free to the 75th anniversary delegation. There will be DC Statehood, any presidential candidate right now on his Trump's cut in his proposed budget. DC delegate Eleanor investment in the empowerment of Black America and helped increase its funding for 2020. First funded in 2000, the program provides grants of up to $10,000 to qualified college students to attend universities anywhere in the nation. DC officials have estimated that about 26,000 students have used the program since its inception. $40 million is dedicated to the DC TAG program for 2020. The first film festival promoting DC statehood was held on May 24th. The film festival was organized by civil rights attorney and statehood activist Johnny Barnes and moderated by DC Shadow Representative Franklin Garcia. A total of $2,500 was awarded to the winners of the festival that took place at the Carnegie Institution. Short films of 5 minutes or less that explained and or promote DC statehood were viewed, and 10 finalist film festival promoting DC statehood was held on May 24th. The film festival was organized by civil rights attorney and statehood activist Johnny Barnes, and moderated by DC Shadow Representative Franklin Garcia. A total of $2,500 was awarded to the winners of the festival that took place at the Carnegie.
Welcome to this segment of the DC Statehood Show. My name is Franklin Garcia. And today we have in our studio Taylor Bernine, ANC Commissioner. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about you. We're very excited to have you come out today.
Sure. So I am an advisory neighborhood commissioner representing American University's campus. I'm the youngest ANC officer in the history of Washington, D.C. I serve as treasurer in
Welcome to this segment of the
DC,
DC Statehood Show.
and I
My
became
name is
interested in
Franklin
DC
Garcia.
statehood
Today
and
we have in
was
our studio
running for that seat.
Bernine, ANC
I'm sure
Commissioner.
you know
We're very
that in
excited to
order
have you.
to run for ANC seat, you
Wonderful.
have to
A bit about
get
you. We're
the
very
signatures
excited
on a
to have
petition
you
to be
come out
on the
today.
ballot. And for me, that meant finding college students who would be willing to leave their state registration and register to get in DC to sign the history of Washington. And I had a hard time
Welcome to this segment of the
why
DC
it was a good idea to give up the congressional seathood
Today
that I
we
was
have
supposed to be running in order to sign my petition. And so that's what really led me to the statehood movement.
Wonderful. Yes, I do know all about collecting signatures. I had to collect more than 4,000 actually.
A little bit more than me.
Yes, just a tiny
Leave
bit.
their
So
state
tell us a
registration
little bit
and register to get in DC to sign the history of Washington. And I had a hard
Welcome
time
to this
finding
section
why it was a good
mentioned
idea
earlier.
to give up the
Working
congressional seathood
today
that I
we
was
have
supposed to be running in
UNPO.
order to
Yeah,
sign
that
my
was
petition.
definitely a
And so
great
that's what really led me to
opportunity.
the statehood movement.
Wonderful. Yes, I do know all about collecting signatures. I had to collect more than 4,000 actually.
A little bit more than me.
Yes, just a tiny bit.
Leave their
So
state
tell us a
registration
little
and
bit.
register to get in DC to sign the history of Washington. And I had a hard
Welcome
time
to this
finding
section
why it was a good idea
mentioned
I had to give up
earlier.
very interesting
Today
that I
we
was
have
supposed to be running in
UNPO.
order to
Yeah,
sign
that
my
was
petition.
definitely
And so
a great
that's what really led me to
idea.
the statehood movement.
That's right. And a lot of people must come to terms and realize that we need to reach out of the
A little
city
bit more than
to actually get just a tiny
Leave
bit.
their
So
state
tell us a
registration
little
and
bit.
register to
So tell us a little bit
sign
about
the history of Washington.
some of the things that you think that we can do in the city to engage more young people to be on this movement.
Yeah, I mean,
my work as a commissioner and with several advocacy campaigns in DC, including Students for DC Statehood, has just shown me how powerful youth energy can be if we just harness it. And I think part of that is making sure that we just connect to all the students here and take advantage of all the great universities across the city and the students that might not be full-time residents in DC, but recognize that this vibrant city of over 750,000 people deserve political representation. So whether that's through rallies or Students for DC Statehood chapters at different colleges across the city, I think there are a lot of ways to get the youth involved.
And talk a little bit about Students for DC Statehood. How does that work? And do we have chapters in other states?
Yeah, Students for DC Statehood is a organization which has chapters in DC schools and now universities across the country. And we work with youth advocacy for DC Statehood. We're the only organization that's focused only on student advocacy, which I think is really special since there is so much that the youth movement can do. And I think it's especially powerful that we have chapters outside of DC in these voting congressional districts where we can harness that energy to hopefully get some congressional representatives on our side with statehood as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, we have a hearing coming up in Congress on the 19th of September. How do we get more people to come and join us at that hearing that day so that Congress sees that all of Washington cares about DC statehood?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is making sure that Congress remembers that this isn't just a federal district, that there are people here who deserve representation. And part of what Students for DC Statehood is doing is hosting a youth rally at American University's campus in the days leading up to the HR 51 hearing, where hopefully we'll get students excited and educate those who might not already know about the hearing and make sure that we have a big youth turnout on the 19th.
Thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you for watching. My name is Franklin Garcia, and my guest has been Taylor Berlin, an ANC commissioner in our city. Welcome to this segment of the DC Statehood Today show. My name is Franklin Garcia, and today we have with us in the studio Ty Have Some Power. Ty is an organizer with the 51 for 51 campaign. Welcome to the studio, Ty.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what is the 51 for 51 campaign.
So 51 for 51 is a statehood campaign that's been put together by a coalition of national partners.
Welcome to this segment of the DC Statehood Today show. My name is Franklin Garcia. And today we have with us in the studio Ty Have Some Power.
That are coming together.
Ty is an organizer with the 51 for 51 campaign. Welcome to the studio, Ty.
Is a little different than some of the other.
Tell us a little bit about what is the 51 for 51 campaign.
Statehood campaign votes in the Senate been put together. It's a measure by a coalition of national. Now,
welcome to this segment of the DC Statehood Today show. My name is Franklin Garcia. Today we have with us in the studio Ty Have Some Power. Ty is an organizer
that would justify bending those rules. You know, over 700,000 people not having full voting rights is something to be considered. So that's what we're doing. We're going out to early primaries
that I'm doing. Today's live streaming is a little special and different. Some of you know that I produce a show called DC Statehood Today, where I talk about our fight for DC statehood. And while COVID-19 has slowed down a lot of our economy and some of the things, the fight for DC statehood continues strong. And we're hoping, in fact, that this year, HR 51, our current U.S. House of Representatives, to share this show with you. And this particular show,
that are currently in the race.
Hello.
And one that
at 6:31, we continue to see a record number of support for DC statehood in the U.S. Congress. In June, HR 51 received support from House leadership as House June, HR 51 received support.
Places did it start here in the District of Columbia? We just wanted to know a little bit more about the 51 for 51 campaign.
Absolutely. So the 51 for 51 campaign is a group of young people. And our team size varies because, our field team is probably about 5-6 people. Very young, all native Washingtonians, all bright, intelligent. And so we're sort of leading the charge on that now. 51 for 51 is, like I said, a part of a coalition. So this is a national effort. But our focuses are sort of spread both locally and nationally. And there was another question in there I believe you asked as well, which was...
You got it. I was just talking about in terms of whether it was actually in other places besides DC.
Yeah, so...
All right. It looks like the audio, we're having some challenges with the audio. I was testing to see how people were listening to the show or how they could see it. And when I went on another computer, I noticed that the audio lagged. In other words, it actually was repeating. So as I was talking or as the show was going on, you hear segments of prior segments repeating again. So it was very difficult to make out what people were saying. So let me try it again and let me air the show. I think you'll find it interesting. Those of you who take an interest in the fight for DC statehood, I think you'll find that a lot of the subject we cover in this particular two young people were very good during that segment of the show. So let me go ahead and play it for you at a different time. Let me get this, do a little bit more testing, and then get back and live stream it again, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody's staying safe.